Welcome to another episode of The Artsy Raven, a show about writing and publishing with your host, J.F. Garrard.
So welcome to a special episode of the RC Raven. It's our 100th episode. And for our 100th episode, we are going to talk to two members of the Asian Canadian Writers Workshop. This is an organization which I'm part of. So with us is Effie, who is a volunteer and community and event organizer for ACWW, and Sean Gunn, one of the original founding members of ACWW, who served on the board. We consider him a senior member, and he was a poet who later diverged into making Asian Canadian music. So welcome.
Thank you.
Now, I actually don't know too much about the history about ACW. I mean, I know some of the history. I know Jim Wong Chu founded it, and it was founded in the 50s and whatnot. But do you want to talk a little bit about how ACWW came about, an Asian Canadian Writers Workshop?
Me? Okay. Did you say the 50s?
Not 50s. I think
It's the 50s?
I think more like 70s.
Not quite that old. Yeah, the 70s. Yeah.
70s.
Well,
Okay.
but not quite that old. Okay.
All right. So
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I won't. There's some sort of prehistory, but we became let's see, we produced an anthology. It was called Inalienable Rice. Came out in 1979. It came out. That's part of the group. We were known as the Chinese Canadian Writers Workshop at that point. But well, I should go back a little more. In 1976, it was the Japanese Canadian Centennial. 100 years in Canada, and some of us got together and we put in a grant to do an anthology, and it was mainly at that time Japanese and Chinese Canadian contributions, and so it was the Wakayama group, and we were the Chinese Canadian Writers Workshop, but it's the same organization. We just wanted to call it that so there'd be a Chinese name there in the title, in the.
If I can add something, my understanding from Sean and doing some of the research, because I did an interview with Sean recently for Rice Paper, is that there were basically students, Japanese Canadians, Chinese Canadians, and they started organizing basically arts activism, and these loose groups of people became Asian Canadian Coalition, and that kind of put forward. So Sean is referring to the early beginnings where there was a Chinese Canadian Writers Workshop, there was a Japanese review, and this merging.
Yeah, the Powell Street Review.
Yeah, Powell, sorry, not Japanese Canadian Review, Powell Street Review. They kind of came together as Asian Canadian Coalition, and this collaboration led to that first anthology, Inalienable Rice. And Sean had at least a couple poems in that.
Yeah, that anthology.
So those are the early community building beginnings of Asian Canadian Writers Workshop. And Sean described what used to happen in the meetings. Maybe you want to share that with JF.
Yeah, well, the earlier days, it was more of an organic sort of more affiliation of writers, and we didn't have more regular meetings. But I think later on, when we Jim Wong Chu particularly became the first president, he organized it, and Jim did a lot to become a nonprofit. What is it, a society?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we could get government grants, and it became. So that would be a bit late. Yeah, that'd be after. Yeah, the Inalienable Rice came out in '79, right? Yeah, I think we became. It was after that we became more of a, what do you call it? Well, we became more organized anyway. It became,
Mm-hmm.
We had a board of directors, and it became a more formal organization, right? So that's some of the early history, but it's been going for a long time, and
it's the 50th anniversary.
50th? Yeah, it is. We're older than 30 years. I know that.
Yeah. 30 years is, I think, Rice Paper's anniversary.
Yeah,
right?
it's 30 years is
And as a society.
Yeah, whereas actual, we had a board and the what do you call that? It's more as opposed to organic, it became more structured, I guess. And yeah,
Okay.
uh,
And then,
right.
so Rice Paper, was it always like a newsletter? Like it started later, right? And then it became
Yeah, it
print
came
and
out.
now online.
Yeah, a guy named Quan Fu was the first editor of that. Yeah, Quan is a musician, a friend of mine also. Who, we played in a band together too. But yeah, Quan was part of the early board of directors, I think, on the Writers Workshop, right? So that came out, and yeah, we've done a lot of stuff. I guess.
My understanding was a print and then became online.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it was actual. Yeah, it was actual paper.
And then there have been some anthologies published, and I think you've published the most recent one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been grabbing the online submissions and then putting it together into a book. So Alan Cho, the executive director of Rice Paper, he had approached me and he was like, would you be interested? Because they've actually tried getting publishers to do it, but it's hard. It's a very niche book, right? And there are only so many people that will buy Asian Canadian books, and the big publishers will obviously they all want to make money. It's not exactly going to be like a bestseller. Um, so I said sure, and it's been a passion project, I guess. Like we don't make very much money, but at least it's an outlet for Asian Canadian voices to be published. Like some
Yeah.
people, after they publish with us, they've gone on to bigger things. They've won Governor General awards, and they've become very big writers. And I was like, oh, I remember you. We first published your story in Rice Paper. So, um, but yeah. So I mean, in the beginning, and like when you formed the group, like I guess was it just a safe place for everyone to sort of just get together and write? I mean, was that the intention?
Yeah, in the earlier days, yeah, we would critique each other's work. People would, if someone had something, I remember like Sky Lee was one of the first people that had something, and we'd meet. We had some meetings at her place, and actually, and a lot of meetings were at Jim and Marlene's place too, right? And so, but it became more after. I don't know. So 30 years ago, I guess, yeah, it became. We had more structured, and then we had meetings. I think we met in the Chinese Cultural Center on, down in Chinatown at one point too. But no, yeah, I guess I'm less involved with the organization. Well, I'm there, right? I'm around, but I'm not on the board anymore or anything like that, right? I haven't been
Well, I
for.
mean, people can only volunteer for so long before they burn out. I mean, it's
Yeah, or I'm kind of semi-retired, I like to think anyway.
Yeah, Marlene is Jim Wong Chu's wife and still involved. And she reviews the submissions for the Jim Wong Chu Emerging Writer Award. So that award is still a pretty significant way for ACWW to contribute to Asian Canadian publishing. And certainly winners, finalists, they've gone on to get publishing deals, which is pretty amazing.
cool. So, how did you become involved as a community organizer, Effie? Who lured
Oh,
you in?
yeah. Who roped me in? Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I would say Todd Wong. Todd Wong has certainly been with ACWW for a number of years as a community arts organizer involved in many kinds of things like literary. He's the founder of Gung Hagus Fa Choi. And I actually started knowing him from dragon boating and then realized there was all of this arts related literary community. So I guess it has been a few years. I've actually first got interested because at one of the LiterAsian festivals, there was Asian literature circle. So it's a group of people who've met for 30 years just to talk about books and share books. And they did such an interesting presentation. I joined them. And then from there, also attended LiterAsian Festival. And now I'm interested to do more writing. Certainly, it's motivating me to have a better writing practice. And the other thing that ACWW really helped me with is I was part of a queer Asian writing circle before and didn't have that circle anymore and wanted to really be able to bring that to aspiring writers, creatives who identified as queer and Asian, and ACWW helped to support 2 workshops during the last festival. And then in this fall, we'll get 4 sessions going, hopefully just get more people together. As you say, like creating that space for writing, sharing, and going back to this idea of a workshop space or circle space that is really still needed. You know, I think even from Sean's time to now, the people who continue writing and can make a career of it, I think it's still, it could still be more, right? More spaces, more stories that can be shared.
Well, definitely. Yeah, one of the things I'm going to be involved in at end of September is Word on the Street in Toronto, and I think there's Word in Vancouver.
Oh,
It's like a
cool.
place to get our presence known, but people always come up there. They're like, "Oh, we've never heard of you guys." And
Yeah,
I mean, I guess marketing's another thing. There's
I
just
know.
so many groups,
I know.
and
Is that
it's
in terms
hard.
of ACWW or Helix Press?
Um, I think for both. I mean, there's just so much out there. I mean, I'm also part of the Canadian Authors Association as well, and marketing is always a struggle, trying to get people to recognize there's this group and
Yeah.
you can join and whatnot. And but to do that, you need volunteers and you also need grants. You need, a lot of effort to get something going, I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
I had an interesting conversation with one of the Japanese Canadian community leaders, I'd say, and peer of Sean at Mayu, and she really talked about community building, which I think is different now compared to then. I
mhm.
think then you had a lot more in-person interaction to build, to collaborate, to develop things. And as Sean mentioned, organically in a way, you get to hang out together, eat, and now it's almost like we first come up with the activity
Yes.
before we can hang out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and also I
So
think everyone's on social media, and I think after COVID, some people don't want to come outside anymore. They're
yeah,
just hiding.
yeah.
So
Is
it is hard.
Word Toronto new this year?
Oh, Word on
Or
the Street? No, no, no. It's been around
word
for a long time. Well, I
okay.
think they both used to be Word on the Street, and then somehow Vancouver became Word.
Okay.
I think it's the same sort of festival
Free.
when you have,
Everything's free,
yeah,
right?
everything's
Yeah.
free, and then you have all these publishers and organizers, and we're really lucky we're part of the literacy lane, so not-for-profits can apply for a free table.
Mm.
Otherwise, it's like a few hundred to thousands of dollars for a table, and yeah, it
Mm.
gets expensive. So,
Yeah.
oh gosh.
Mm.
Now, I'm thinking about the future. I mean, I've been publishing, I think I've done 5 books now with
Wow.
ACWW, so hopefully we'll have more in the future. Of course, it's always like trying to get the right volunteers to help and
Yeah.
going.
I'd
And
actually love to hear what you've published. I'm only aware of the last anthology.
oh, yeah, I've done all anthologies except for one book by Vincent Cherneda. I think that was sort of an experiment to sort of, launch more books. And he's a Filipino writer based in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then the other 4 are anthologies.
Okay.
So they're all from submissions to Rice Paper, and they were selected for those anthologies. So I guess every couple of years when we can scrape up some money, we do an anthology because we need to pay the writers, pay the
Yeah.
illustrators. I don't get paid, but that's what. But I mean, I'm the publisher, so um,
I
I
would love
guess
to help you in any way.
sure, sure, sure. So yeah, it's a lot of work to do it.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think it's, like I said, it's an opportunity for people to publish to get a credit and then they can go on to more things. Like if they're going to apply for a grant, you need to be published somewhere to be able to
Hmm.
prove that you're a professional writer. And I mean, I don't think the rates are professional, but I mean, anyhow, you get a credit. So it's really
Yeah.
hard to get professional rates, I think, to get paid hundreds of dollars for a short story. It's incredibly competitive, I think, because of the low barrier to entry. It's not like you need a degree to write. Anyone can write, but it also means there's, a lot of people. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
hmm.
For sure.
But yeah, next time we do an anthology, I'll see if you have any time to help edit or whatnot.
I'd
Um,
love to. Yeah.
yeah. Oh gosh.
I'd love
Okay.
to
So,
see a queer Asian anthology.
oh, okay. We have to talk
Yeah.
to Alan about that. I don't think we
Yeah.
had one. Like we've had a spec fic one. We pushed him to do
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
I think the last one was just a general theme.
Yeah.
Um, but a queer one we have not. We don't have. So,
Mhm.
hmm, that would be interesting.
I think part of workshop circle spaces is also the question of how do you build that confidence and that practice to get to the point you can publish.
Yes.
You can get out there. You know what I mean? It's like a muscle you've got to exercise, right? Even
Yes.
me writing an interview and I thought I knew the subject. I had to do so much research and we had so
Mm,
many conversations where I was like, oh, I gotta check this and I've gotta
yes.
rewrite this. And just it is work that's hard to do when you've got other full-time work, basically.
Oh, definitely. Like writing, I think is the hardest thing I've done. Like you said, it's like you have so many priorities, and it feels like it really is a privilege. I feel like it's a privilege. I call it an expensive hobby because it doesn't really pay much. Uh, because I've had people ask, have you quit your job to do this writing and publishing stuff? I was like, no, because I can't afford it. I have a kid and a husband, and it would be nice, but I think it's really, really hard. Even if
Mm,
you get published traditionally, right? There's one Stephen King, one J.K. Rowling. I mean, if the marketing people are going to spend money, you're going to spend it on the big guys, right? And it's sort of a weird business that way.
yeah.
And
Oh,
going
that's
viral and
another
stuff.
conversation we've got to
Yeah, that's
have because
another
I'm curious.
conversation.
That
So
no, I
yeah,
mean it's fascinating. I want to hear more about it for sure.
yeah. But as you said, building confidence. At one point, I ran a bunch of seminars called Write Rice during COVID, and it was
Hmm.
all online. I think it was once a month. And there was one person, Phoebe Lee, who came to every every session. And then later she moved to Toronto actually from Vancouver and we became friends and she self-published I think 3 or 4 books after that. So I'm really happy for her and I hope, it does well. But it's a lot of work. I see her like every day on TikTok and Instagram and, making all these videos. So, and
Wow.
she's actually volunteered as an editor now for Rice Paper as well. So just getting people involved in the community is very important to keep it going.
Okay.
Um, so Sean, you were a poet and now you're a musician. So you were going to sing a song, right?
Yeah, I could try if you have time.
Sure,
I can
sure.
do
Let's
it.
do it. Let's do it.
I'll try to do it a cappella. Maybe I'll move back a little slightly. I don't know if I'll try to. Da, da. I should get it in the right key. I have a pitch pipe here. I should. Okay. Da, da, da. I wrote a tune. It's called the Asian Canadian Blues. It was a tune. I think I wrote it about 1980 or so. I played in a band called we were called Number One Son, along with Terry Watata, who's from Toronto, right? He's, you know him, or but anyway, he's another writer and songwriter. It's called Asian Canadian Blues, and the song is mentioned in the Storytelling Center, so I'm listed in the song. So da ba do 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 do, yeah, do 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 do. Hey, you got to do your homework. You got to go to school. You got to work twice harder than the man next to you. Don't make a commotion and you get a promotion, but middle management is that sealant said for you? We got them busting our asses of Asian Canadian blues. Da 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 ba ba do ba. You got your BAMA and you got your PhD. You got your fancy house and car and high society. And though you think you're part of it, when they'll let you be, you're just another Chinaman trying to make them understand. You got to do your homework. You got to go to school. You got to work twice harder than that guy right next to you. Don't make a commotion and you get a promotion. But middle management is that sealant set for you. We got them busting our asses of Asian Canadian blues. Da 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 ba ba da ba. Da ba da 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 ba da ba do ba ba. Da 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 ba ba do. Da 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 ba ba. Da 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 ba ba do ba da ba ba do ba da 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 ba ba da. Da da ba da ba, da 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 ba ba do ba da 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 ba ba do ba da ba da 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 ba ba da da ba. Well, you got to do your homework. You got to go to school. You got to work twice harder than the guy right next to you. Don't make a commotion and you get a promotion. But middle management is that ceiling fat for you. We got them busting our asses of Asian Canadian blues. Da 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 ba ba da da. Well, we pioneered this country and we helped to give it life. Head taxes, concentration camps, exclusion acts of price. We're here to stay and fight it out, and we know our rights. We're here today, we're here to stay, and we've got a lot to say. You got to do your homework, you got to go to school, you got to work twice harder than that guy right next to you. Don't make a commotion and you get a promotion, but middle management is that ceiling set for you. We got them busting our asses off Asian Canadian blues. Da 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 ba do 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 do. Something like that. Anyway, but pardon
Oh
my hoarse
wow, that
voice.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Anyway, an
very
old
much for
song I hadn't
sharing.
done for years, but
Oh my gosh, you have to do it the next LiterAsian. Maybe have a
yeah,
backup
I
plan.
might do it. There's the 50th anniversary. I've been involved with the Powell Street Festival, and I play in a band called Cocoa Rose Prohibited, and this band is going to be 50 years old come next year. So if I'm still alive, I'll try to perform it at the Powell Street Fest. That's if they ask us to play, but I think they might because the band, we're as old as the Powell Street Festival.
Yeah.
It's the 50th anniversary.
Incredible.
So hopefully
Yeah.
I'll try to, I'll try to play bass too and sing it, which is a lot tougher. Anyway.
Sean also has a poem that he wrote about Sid Chow Tan, in case you
Who was a very good friend of mine
Yeah.
for 38 years. And
was involved with ACWW.
yeah, he was a president at one point. And of course, he's known for this head tax, his efforts on head tax. A good friend of mine for 38 years, actually. And okay, it's called Sid Chow Tan. Sid Tan, from iconoclast to icon, Mao/godfather of Chinese Canadian head tax redress, where the pivotal moment was Sid Guangdong slagging Ottawa on national TV. Siduber Productions, cable host of the We Are Not Shaw show on Shaw. Joint chairperson and president of the Sierra Club, Asian Canadian Writers Workshop, and Head Tax Families of Canada. Sid's True Heart, Cardiac, the Heart of the City Festival. The China-born paper son of a low-IQ head taxpayer, Sid got his street creds being busted, protesting at the riot at the Hyatt. An OG bona fide hero / champion fighting social injustice, Sid even took on Giant Shell Oil and connected Battleford, Saskatchewan to Vancouver, Chinatown, to the downtown east side. Theory to practice, art to activism, and always power to the people. In his own immortal lyrics, I'm a Chinatown cowboy, ain't nothing better than that. And Sid made it so. Goodbye, Tanibus. Farewell, BFF. Cut to Chinatown cowboy riding off into the big videoscape, large and in charge. You stood up, were counted, and made a big-ass difference, recording and making history. Sydney Lancelot Chow Ming Phi Tan, 1949 to 2022. The GOAT sporting the trademark goatee. Rest in power, brother. Love you, man.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you for sharing.
Yeah, it's a
Effie,
poem
do
I
you want to
wrote in
read
the
anything?
memoriam.
I have not prepared anything.
That's
Thank
okay.
you. Thank you for the invitation.
Now, if any new writers are listening to this, do you have any advice to any new writers, like that can help them on their journey?
Oh, sorry, can you say that again? I didn't quite.
Oh, do you have any advice to help new writers on their writing journey?
Uh, keep plugging at it, keep rewriting and rewriting, and things take years. I remember Sky Lee was workshopping her, one of her first stories. It seemed like quite a while. Anyway, it took a while. She rewrote it, and I don't remember people. Writer like Rick Shiomi writing, I think Yellow Fever was one of his first plays. He was part of the workshop one time too. Anyway, he must have rewrote that, I don't know, dozens of times, and keep, I guess, don't give up, keep going.
How about you,
I
Effie?
would, yeah, I would say make time. One thing I learned, I had a residency in Vancouver and realized that making time for yourself, allowing yourself to just write, doodle, read, lots of reading is part of that, building that practice. So I often talk about the writing practice because I think for myself, it's sometimes daunting to think, oh, I'm going to be a writer, but it's really about the practice of it and making it part of your life and allowing yourself time to do that because oftentimes I've been told creative arts is not the way to go, right?
Oh yeah, I mean most Asian
Yeah,
parents say that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can relate. And yeah, just take your time, make time for yourself to do it. And there's many ways to, I think, bring people together through stories and allowing yourself to share it. And that's still something I'm working on for myself, just being able to feel vulnerable in sharing anything I've worked on, or that's why I like the idea of a circle or workshop actually.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
For more upcoming episodes of the Artsy Raven about writing and publishing, visit us at jfgarage.com/arpodcast. A reminder to Patreon subscribers that there is bonus content available for every episode on the Patreon website. If you enjoyed the show, you can show your appreciation by buying us some digital coffee. The Artsy Raven is produced by J.F. Garrard. The voice in the show's introduction is Chris Gorman, and music is by Tim Moore. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, stay safe.